I'm Tanisha Alston, writer, daughter, mother, traveler, B.o.B. I'm so happy to be filming today in Hakeem's bookstore in West Philadelphia, the oldest Black bookstore in the city, 59 years old. The things that inspire me are books, music, writers, family, friendships. I take inspiration from everywhere because my imagination just works like that. I had the same high school English teacher for like 2 years, Gwen Nielsen. She's the first person outside of my family that told me I had talent and I had a gift. And she always used to write a lot of notes on my paper. Her comment was, "This is quite soap operatic. You should consider writing for the screen." She used to always put stuff like that on my papers. This is all complimentary. This is this is that. All reaffirming that I had a gift. This was when I used to be a poet. This is how I started off writing. So I had like all my old poems in here that I looked through. Oh, you know what? This is a program from when I did a show at the Philadelphia Citywide Poetry Slam. And the big headliner was Kevin Powell at the time. But I was a participating poet, wrote my name on there. And this was the flyer that I made copies of and gave to everyone. And the judges, Lisa Nelson was big back then. But, oh my goodness. This had to do with the Doomsday though. Wow. Oh, here it is. Here's the big flyer. I started an online magazine called Dyme, D-Y-M-E, with 4 other girls. And we covered pop culture, music, suggestions, and something else. We had a big launch party in New York. It didn't work out, but it did motivate me to want to pitch my own ideas to magazines. So I put together my own press packet with samples in it. But the thing that I was missing was actual pitch ideas. But I did send it off anyway, so people had writing samples and knew some of the scope of my work. And I did get one response from Essence magazine at the time, but then 9/11 happened and then I just dropped the ball with the whole thing. Fast forward about 2004, I did the same thing except even better. I sent a pitch to allhiphop.com and a guy named Jake Payne said, "Sure, you can write for us." And I think the first thing that they had me do was an interview with Curtis Blow. Things just spun from there. He was the lead editor, and then he left there and went to Hip Hop DX and said, "I want you to come with me to Hip Hop DX." I did that and wrote for them. I interviewed the RZA, B.o.B, Guru before he passed away, a lot of artists. Then I segued into more journalistic style writing as far as pitching. I wanted to get out the music box that I thought that I was getting trapped in. This was the first thing I ever wrote. I printed it out. It actually was in a newspaper that was non-music related. I stayed in a homeless shelter for the weekend and documented my whole experience there, and it was in the Philadelphia City paper in 2008. This was the first piece. I also had actual artwork drawn for the words that I said. So that was, I don't know, it meant something to me. It still does, but it meant something to me at the time. Because I never had artwork. Once I turned in the piece, they said we need to get an artist in here to do a depiction. So this was the picture that they came up with. They described and drew the actual cubicle that I lived in for the weekend, and how open and exposed it was. And there was just some shoes and like a cot and stuff, because that's just how the room was. So that really meant a lot to me. I solicited this guy. He didn't even know me. I just sent him some samples of my music stuff, told him what I wanted to do, and he said, go for it. And at the time, that was the most money I ever earned from anything I ever wrote, which was $500. And this was back then. So I was proud of it. At one point, my day job, I was working for a nonprofit organization, and they had a writer's program in state prison for young people who were locked in their cells for like 23 hours a day, and the only time they got out was for school and when I would go there to teach my writing course. So I did that for about I think about 3 or 4 months, but every week. It was more like a therapy group in a way. I let them tell their stories and get it down on paper, and then we kind of discussed it as a group, and every week we worked on it to improve whatever they might have written grammatically and all that type of stuff. Outside of the prisons, I was working in a junior high school at one point, and they didn't have anybody to run their writers group, so I volunteered to do it. It took us about 9 months, but we actually, in the end, we fundraised through the year. In the end, I wound up editing the whole book, choosing what would be in there. We had poetry, short stories, and it was the first time a hard copy as well done as what we had done had ever been created, and I was really proud of that. The name of the book is called Love Lost Found. The title of the book came to me in a dream. I was going through some relationship stuff, thinking about my own personal romantic relationships, and the title came to me in a dream. And it just so happened that some of the stories that I had already done fit into the theme of the book. So each story in the book are themes around those words, sometimes literally, most times not, but about love, experiencing it, loss, experiencing that, and being found in one way or another. I hope the book brings me this sense of satisfaction that I think I've been looking for. I've always wanted to be a published author. So that's the first thing I hope it brings to me. And then I hope that some of the stories in there are relatable to other people and they can take something away from it, because there are elements of truth in every story in the book. But like I said, the beauty of fiction is being able to embellish and grow a story. And I hope that all the readers will be able to get something out of it.